The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio. Coming up on the program today, we're going to discuss watering in your garden, what you need to know in order to be successful, as well as pressure canning your vegetables. Our guest is insect expert Jaret Daniels will be with us, author, and will answer your garden questions. The hour is full, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
And welcome to another edition of the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Thank you so much for being allowing us to be part of your day. I am your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Happy you've taken time out of your day to join us on the program. Whether you're listening to us on one of the 18 AM and FM frequencies broadcasting our program here in 2024, through a radio app, through our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, underneath the Season 8 tab at the top of the page, podcast replay, in-studio video replay, however you're doing such, thank you so much. If you want to be part of the program, you certainly can do such by giving us a call at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. You can also send us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. And for those who are eagerly wanting to participate but not sure how, we do have something for you. In an upcoming show, we would like to have a segment dedicated to people who are wanting to share their first garden experience. You can submit that to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Your first name's fine, a general location, and what your first memories of gardening were, whether it was with a family member or later on in life or through a YouTube video, whatever that might be. We want to hear your story. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Send that on over. But before we get started, Holly, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week.
Yeah, so, I used to have a job making furniture out of plants, and I will tell you, it is no bed of roses.
This week's joke is brought to you by Rescue.com.
American-made Rescue products keep your family, home, and yard protected from pest insects like wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, flies, ants, and more. Learn more at rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com.
Watering is one of the key aspects of life in your garden. Obviously, you need to have good, fertile, rich soil. Then you need water in order to allow the nutrients to be uptaken by the plant and the plant to grow successfully. Now, watering in the garden is much more in-depth than, I splashed some water with the hose, or I really quickly went through the watering can and it looks wet on top, so we must be good. That is the farthest thing from a successful hydration property that you can get. Just because it's wet on top, that means nothing.
Right. And actually, so our 10-year-old nephew had some plants that he obtained recently, a watermelon.
We still don't know where or how, because nobody seemed to ask that question when the conversation was had. But anyway.
I know the watermelon came from his school.
Okay.
So anyway, a tomato, a watermelon, and a cabbage plant. And maybe he'll have more. We'll have to give him some seeds. But I was there at his house, and I gave him some advice on watering, and he was so cute. He was like this little stressed out gardener, and he had to unplug the hose and then turn the water on and put it in his watering can, and it was cute.
So you instructed him on the proper amount of watering that the plant would need in order to be healthy.
For now, yes. Yeah. I forgot to mention, we'll talk about this if you have containers in the summer, in the heat of the summer. But yeah, so you want to keep a schedule. And I did tell him that you want to water regularly, but there was some rain coming up soon, and I said that he probably won't have to water those days, but other than that, he's going to have to water regularly.
There isn't a position in which you can overwater a plant. You can waterlog it. You can turn it into a swampy bog which will inhibit the plant growth because plant roots need oxygen. Oxygen is in the soil. It also needs water. If you prohibit the oxygen from getting to the roots, the plant will suffocate. There's specific plants that can grow in those wet, boggy areas and are conditioned to do that by nature. Your tomato plants, your bean plants, your watermelons, those aren't those.
Right. Yes, exactly. So you want to keep in mind what plants that you want to be aware of not drowning them, essentially.
Which is pretty much everything you're growing in your backyard or your front yard. In your garden, you're not going to be growing cattails or moss or anything like that.
Maybe rice.
Rice, yeah.
Cranberries.
People can't.
They flood the bogs to get the cranberries.
Right. They don't grow it in a swamp. Now rice, you flood the in order for it to grow.
So
you can do this in your backyard, but many choose not to. They grow what we would consider the traditional vegetables. So
speaking about growing or keeping a watering schedule, water consistency, irrigation is very helpful for that. A lot of people are like, oh, that's so costly, and I can just stand out there with my hose and blah, blah, blah. And that's cute and fun for a while, but then I think you are going to want irrigation. It's pretty foolproof. It's a really great investment, especially if you are in a situation where you're going to consistently have the ability to irrigate. Also, if you think about this, okay, if you are somebody who leaves town over a weekend, blah, 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 during summer, you can set it on a timer. Some of these even have like apps,
Wi-Fi, whole deal.
Yeah.
Dripworks.com is what we have used for a number of years. Go ahead.
Or, if you have a neighbor and they have to check on, maybe they're going to check on your mail or whatever, your cat, whatnot, they can also check on your irrigation for you too.
You can set this up, set it and forget it. If you think that you do not need irrigation, you would be absolutely amazed of how much water it takes for dry soil to become hydrated again. Whether it's in a 5-gallon bucket or a root maker grow bag or a root maker raised bed or your traditional raised bed, when that soil is desert dry, it takes gallons, 50, 60, 70, it takes gallons of water in order to get that from a hydrophobic, which repels water, to a hydrational phobic, I don't know to get it to hydrate in order to absorb the water. Once you get the soil to a level in which it will absorb the water, it is now conditioned to absorb moisture as it is presented moisture. When you get it completely dry, it is a very difficult task. It can be done, but to get that back to where you need to. You can also use products like Soil Moist, which helps and you incorporate into your soil a moisture retention mechanism that is natural that will help and last many years in your garden as well, or your containers. You can use weed fabric or weed barrier as well as mulch, those two in combination, in order to hold moisture in. They will suppress weeds, that is true, but in this application, you're creating a barrier to prevent or slow down evaporation of moisture in your garden. If you have an irrigation system like we do, we put the weed barrier on top and we put mulch on top of that weed barrier in order to protect the soil. Because if you just have weed barrier and just have a few holes cut for your tomatoes, your rose plants, rose bushes, whatever, it's not going to hydrate. It's not going to get the moisture it needs. So you need to have that irrigation underneath your weed barrier. Time of day.
Absolutely. So time of day. So this is especially important during the hotter periods of the year. So like July, August, even September.
Any time of year.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, yeah. So you just want to make sure that you aren't watering in the middle of the day. That is probably the worst time.
If you're not irrigating, like if you're not drip irrigating underneath mulch or something. Yeah. If we're just going, that rainbow splash, that above ground watering is what I'm referring to. The evaporation is much more than if it was just not.
Or you send your kid out there with the hose.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, you want to water in the evening or the early morning before the sun hits, definitely like close to even just the midpoint of the day. I feel like Either are fine. Some people have strong opinions.
Don't get it on the plants.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's that. You want to water at the base of the plant.
With our irrigation system, which is at ground level, it's a drip system. We water at 8 a.m., noon, and 5 p.m. for 20 minutes at a time every day. And because it is at the soil level, the soil is able to get it at the root zone. You don't want to splash this on the plants for disease purposes, for any kind of reason. It's not doing any good getting it on the plant. You want to get it at the base. And by doing that at the soil level, it's having the opportunity to absorb in and not evaporate out. Watering in pots or containers twice a day on the very warmest days, Holly.
Yeah, at this point, I mean,
these are little ovens.
Yeah, they're little ovens. They dehydrate quickly. They dry out quickly. So what you want to do is you want to water until you see the water come out the bottom. And then you would, if you have a bunch of them, you just start at the beginning, do all of them, wait a few minutes, and then do that again. And then you want to do that twice a day, because they are going to dry out.
Once you think you're done, grab your hand in there and scoop out about 2 inches deep in the container, and it's probably going to be dry, and you're going to have to keep watering until that gets hydrated. With that, and then you can use mulch on your containers.
And we're not talking about bone dry. We mean like
damp.
Like you might think, okay, this is going to be wet enough, and then you put your hand in there a few inches down, and it just kind of feels like semi-dry soil, so you want to make sure it is nice and damp.
Yep.
And you can mulch.
And the smaller the container, the quicker it will dry out. Normal physics there. You got a 55-gallon grow bag that's going to dry out a little slower than a 2-gallon grow pot or terracotta pot. Watering, important for your garden. Just a small snippet. You got questions, send it on over to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
So we are brought to you today by our sponsor, Walton's Inc. We know you care about where your food comes from. Canning and preserving your fruits and vegetables is a great way, but what about the meat? At Walton's Inc., you can get equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standards. Do you want to make snack sticks that people will actually like? Walton's created meatgistics.com, an informational site to help you make the best finished product. Walton's has everything full line of meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers. They have seasonings. They have a lot of stuff. You can go to waltonsinc.com, use code GROW50 to save 10% off your orders of $50 or more.
When we come back, the world of pressure canning. Know before you can. Holly will explain what pressure canning is and when it's adequate to apply it to your harvest and preserving regiment. You're tuned in the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Blue Ribbon Organics, providing locally made organic compost and soil blends for gardeners, farms, landscaping, and more. To find our products nearest you, visit blueribbonorganics.com.
Happy 65th anniversary to David J. Frank, Southeastern Wisconsin's leading landscape company. Their award-winning services include everything from lawn care, landscape maintenance, design, construction, renovation, irrigation, sustainability, and more. Big or small, let the experts at David J. Frank handle the hard work for you. Find out more at davidjfrank.com. Are you bugged by bugs? You need Naturally Green Products No More Bugs. Environmentally friendly, made in the USA, No More Bugs is a cedar blend that repels and eliminates mosquitoes, no-see-ums, ticks, fleas, roaches, ants, and more. No More Bugs is safe for you, your pets, and plants. Available online at nomorebugs.net, Amazon, Walmart.com, and the Home Shopping Network. Take the guesswork out of composting with the AeroBin 400 or smaller 200 for easy composting. The AeroBin mimics how nature decomposes waste. The AeroBin is easy to use. You prepare your balanced organic waste, just open it up, drop it in, and close. After a short time, fertile compost is produced, which is easily accessed via the lower side door. The thermal insulation in the AeroBin conserves heat, leading to rapid breakdown of the biomass, and works efficiently year-round, even in cooler regions. There is no need to turn the biomass, and it is pet and rodent resistant. It has little odor and can kill annoying weeds and seeds. It is BPA-free. The AeroBin 400 or 200 comes with a reservoir at the bottom to collect the leachate, when diluted, makes for great compost tea liquid fertilizer. Aerobin composts kitchen and garden waste quickly. Easy to assemble with no special tools needed. The Aerobin makes composting rewarding and easy. Go to burpee.com or homedepot.com to purchase. Make watering easy. DripWorks provides quality drip irrigation supplies and equipment to gardeners just like you for all your growing needs across the U.S. and Canada. Purchase online at dripworks.com. Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated seed company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use coupon code 10TG24 to save 10% off your order at jungseed.com. That coupon code is 10TG24 at jungseed.com for 10% off. Dig planting holes from a comfortable standing position. Step, twist, pull, and plant. Visit ProPlugger.com. Wind River Chimes will always be the inspiring harmony. With a large selection and customization options, you will find the sound that soothes you. Visit windriverchimes.com to shop and find out more. Mantis Tillers, the premium long-lasting gas-powered tillers, are the perfect solution for any garden. This Mantis machine is available with 2 or 4 cycle engines with a 19-inch or 16-inch tilling width. Your DIY companion in your garden and your lawn converts easily for edging, aerating, and more with optional attachments. Find details at mantis.com.
Welcome back to the Garden with Joe and Holly radio show. Thank you for being with us today. Moments away, we're going to talk about pressure canning and what it is and when it should be applied when you're canning. But first, a word from our good friends at Honeybee Healthy.
Since 2000, Honeybee Healthy Inc. has helped beekeepers maintain healthy and thriving hives. Attracting pollinators to your garden this year is as simple as hanging a hummingbird feeder with a mixture of sugar water and Honeybee Healthy Original.
Again, you don't have to be a beekeeper or anything like that in order to use the product in order to help the bees out.
Yes. Don't be alarmed to see birds, bees, and butterflies dining together at the feeder. Pollinators coexist peacefully. Honeybee Healthy is offering a 10% discount on an 8-ounce bottle of Honeybee Healthy Original to the show's listeners. Enter discount Bee Garden, that's BEE Garden, at checkout. For more information, mixing instructions, you can purchase products at honeybeehealthy.com. That intro music was like ice cream shop.
1930s Jimmy
1930s,
Jazz.
Yeah, like we want some ice cream now.
Yeah. If you are missing any of the coupon codes, you can go to our parent website and click, which is the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. Click on the money tab at the top of the page, and all of those companies are listed with the coupon codes available. And if you miss any programming, any of our shows, you can go to season 8 at the top of the page at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and they're all listed there as well as all of the sponsors that support the program financially, so you can hear it on your radio station. Pressure canning, Holly, it is something that frightens people when they hear this as pressure canning. Oh, that's when the thing can blow up and put a hole in my kitchen roof.
My mom's sister's uncle's aunt
lost her left arm.
It's always
and
some extreme.
Yeah.
It's always some super distant relative and something super extreme.
NASA called because it blew through the roof and they thought it was a Sputnik or something. Anyway, go ahead.
Sputnik.
Yeah, Sputnik.
So pressure canning is definitely safer than it was when your aunt's uncle's cousin was doing it. But you want to make sure you're using a real pressure canner. There's now pressure cookers, also known as the Instapot, and there's a lot of other similar pressure cookers, like electric pressure cookers, and you cannot safely can in those. I don't care what your cousin told you. Yeah, I don't care what your cousin told you. Oh, you can can in that. I canned in it. Don't do it. So you want to make sure you are being safe using an actual pressure canner. Some brands are like is it American or something? I don't know. But you'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, an actual pressure canner, and it's something that you put on your stove. There's no electric pressure canners. So you want to make sure you're doing that. You want to you can can high acid foods, so like pickles and jams and stuff like that in a pressure canner, but it's really ridiculous because all of those items usually take like at most 30 minutes to can. So if you pressure can jam and not hot water bath can it, then you have to do some serious math, and it probably would take you like 2 minutes, and it's not worth the effort of bringing the canner up to pressure and then letting it go back down.
Okay, what is the sole purpose of pressure canning vegetables.
Yeah, so pressure canning vegetables makes them shelf stable, but because vegetables are lower in acid and you're not adding acid, so it's not like if you're pickling, it's like if you're just canning straight up carrots or corn or peas or whatever.
Potatoes.
Yeah.
Peel your potatoes before you can them. Side note.
Peel your potatoes before you can them. Yes. So pressure canning is for those low acid foods, and it's going to bring the water and the vegetables in the jar to the proper temperature to kill off bacteria and make it shelf stable.
When you pressure can, you're building up pressure inside the canner, and I'm not a physicist, but it changes the different temperatures in which water boils when it's under pressure and the things that happen inside the jar. Because it's under pressure, it's able to do things that a water bath canner cannot. Growing up, we water bath green beans all the time. Now, it is not safe to do such. You have to pressure can them. If you water bath them, there was some ridiculous amount of time, like 3 hours you had to water bath green beans in order for them to be safe. I know that there's people out there that still do things the old-fashioned way, and your grandparents and your great-grandparents canned in half-gallon jars, and they lived to be 197 years old, and they remember Noah and the ark. But things have changed. The density and the nutrient value of food has changed dramatically over the last 50 to 70 years. That's why different and new practices are being taught, because it's not the same vegetables that your parents and your grandparents grew. It's not the same today.
Absolutely. So as food science continually changes, so does food safety, so does a lot of things. I mean, I just think about the quality of chicken at the store, and I don't want to get gross, but I don't know if you remember, but our chicken used to bleed. And if you're not old enough to think about that, ask your parents, ask your grandparents, ask your older siblings or aunties or whoever, and they'll tell you that chicken used to actually bleed, and now it's like it doesn't happen. It's really weird. So, and I don't think it's a processing thing. I think it's just, I don't know. I don't want to think about it. So yeah, so you want to keep that in mind, that all these things changes, and we want you to be safe. We're not like trying to be Captain Killjoy over here.
Telling you how it is.
We're telling you how it is, but that doesn't mean you should be scared of pressure canning. I was a little bit apprehensive. We pressure canned some venison, and I was like, that's going to be weird, and it was delicious.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you want to keep that in mind. You want to follow the directions with your pressure canner.
Make sure you hold on to those instructions or know the specific model, because each model and each company has different requirements. It's not one size fits all. Well, you got a pressure can where you do this and this and this. Everyone's different. It's not like water bath canning at all. Every manufacturer has a different requirement on how to properly operate their unit.
Right. And so you also want to, there's dial gauge, there's weight gauge, there's different types. And so you want to definitely know your pressure canner directions and how to use it and blah, blah, blah very well. And you also want to keep in mind altitude. Now, most of us are at about sea level or so, but the altitude can change.
Well, we got people over in Denver that's way above sea level.
Yeah. So you want to keep that in mind, that if you are, in Denver, you want to follow the instructions to pressure can properly for where you are.
And the internet's on computers now, so it's easy to find out what your altitude is and if you need to alter the time in which the items are pressure canned, as well as water bath. That dictates time duration as well, your altitude on water bath, as a side note.
Yeah, that as well. So that's something to also keep in mind. And then, again, I just want to touch on what you are pressure canning. This is the low acid foods. So the vegetables, just plain vegetables, you're not adding any vinegar to them. You're not pickling them.
You're adding water or water and salt.
Yes. And some other tips are, as Joy had mentioned, you want to peel your potatoes. You want to
peel your pumpkin,
your squash, etc. And then if it seems too good to be true, like say you find this recipe for like marshmallow fluff canned or something. I don't know. I can't even imagine what. But that's, butter. Yeah, you don't want to can butter. That just seems.
We see a lot of these preppers do that. It is not safe to can butter. because it's not designed to be canned and then be shelf stable. There is an alternate type of butter, which is ghee, which is what is the concept of ghee? It's basically
clarified butter,
but it's still butter.
Yes.
But it's shelf stable, safe butter, and you can make that at home, or you can purchase that at the store.
You cook off the butter fat.
Right. So
anyway,
so if you need butter at your camp or your off grid, whatever, don't make it out of regular butter.
Right. So, and then other things like grains. So if you say
I got a story on that one.
If you want to make a soup, and you want to make like a chicken wild rice soup, you would make the soup to be like the chicken and whatever vegetables are in there. You can make that soup base, but then you would cook the rice and add it after.
We did a talk many, many years ago, and this individual, he was very proud that he said, I figured out that I can add 319 grams of rice, and I can pressure can it, and it will pressure can just correctly so the lid won't blow off in the canner. First of all, rice left in a bag can sit there for years if insects are not involved in it, and it'll be fine. We don't need to pressure can rice. We don't need to pressure can grain. Be smart about what you can pressure can. There are places on the internet that when you that ask these outlandish, how do I do this? How do I can dog food? All this stuff. And they do not want the answer of, that's not safe. They want an answer of, here's how you do it. Keep your opinion to yourself. Give us the answer. Or you get removed from their little social circle.
Right. So, yeah. So we want you to be safe. We don't want you to have, food poisoning or worse.
Things can still happen in 2024.
And we also don't want you to go head to head with people in groups or forums about what they're canning. If they want to play stupid games, then they can win the stupid prizes. But we want you to be smart and safe and make sure that you are following the directions. You're following safe websites such as freshpreserving.com, the ball canning website. There's one SB Canning, which is like, I think she's in Santa Barbara, California. It's like Santa Barbara Canning. You can find your local master canner.
Better Homes and Gardens?
Better Homes and Gardens.
How do you find your local master canner?
Just Google it.
Or you can call your local extension office and say, in the county, whom is, because there are very specific ones. They just can't, there's very select.
And then we also have the National Center for Home Food Preservation. And I think even the USDA website, but it might direct you to the National Center for Home Food Preservation. I feel like I saw a recipe on there, but there's a lot of great resources. Those are very safe resources.
Well, now that the weather is warming up, Holly, it's hot in some places and getting hotter. You will need to protect your garden from various weevils, borers, including those Japanese beetles.
And what better way to prevent these pests from destroying your garden than by controlling them while they are larvae? Grub Gone is an easy-to-apply granular product that can spread on your turf to successfully control grub invaders. Developed by Phylum Bioproducts from a naturally occurring bacteria, Grub Gone is a non-chemical BT product that specifically targets only scarab pests, and it is safe to use around bees and other beneficial insects.
If you've already got those beetles flying around your yard, and some of you do, go to BeetleGone.com. That's BeetleGone.com in order to find the product. It is a organic water dispersible powder that you can spray directly on your edible plants. Find out more about everything they offer at PhylumBioproducts.com or BeetleGone.com. Hang out with us. Insect expert and author Jaret Daniels will be with us. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
Make hand watering easy and enjoyable with HoseLink retractable hose reels. No more tripping over hoses, kinks, tangles, and avoiding rolling the hose up. With an automatic retractable HoseLink saves you time and effort manually coiling up your hose, leaving your focus on the things that will bring you joy in your garden. Available in multiple colors and lengths, you'll be sure to find the retractable hose that works for you. To find out more and to buy online via hoselink.com. Use coupon code RADIO10 for $10 discount.
Water the right amount for the right time with the soaker hose from Eaton Brothers. Soaker hose is one of the best ways to water without drowning your plants. And with a timer, it becomes a set it and forget it way to keep your plants healthy and happy. Soaker hose is designed to work at low pressure, seeping water slowly and steadily over the course of 15 to 20 minutes so the water can percolate the soil and get to the roots. Designed and manufactured to be lead-free so no harmful chemicals or odors are added to your water supply. Visit EatonBrothers.com for more information and to buy. Your mosquito frustrations are over. Now with Mega Catch, suitable for residential and commercial use. Mega Catch mosquito traps produce a vast array of mosquito-attracted stimuli, including safe CO2, and can attract mosquitoes and other biting insects up to 150 feet away. Easy to use and set up. The Mega Catch is ready to make your outdoor space comfortable and enjoyable at megacatch.com. Use coupon code JOEYB, my name Joey B, at checkout and receive 20% discount on your entire trap order at megacatch.com. Soil Diva Liquid Microbe Stimulant Spray improves the health of your plants you work hard to grow, stimulates the natural enzymes, and increases beneficial soil bacteria. Go to soildiva.net. Soildiva.net. Have insects such as aphids or fungal gnats invaded your plants? Fight back with Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bits. Organic Summit Year-Round Spray Oil kills insect pests on indoor and outdoor plants. All natural mosquito bits kill fungal gnats larvae in container plants. Both products are harmless to people, plants, and wildlife. Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bit are available at garden centers, hardware stores, and at SummitResponsibleSolutions.com. Water supply tanks provide BPA-free, long-term safe storage for drinking water from 35 to 1,500-gallon tanks. Water supply tanks has you covered. From preparing for unexpected needs, off-grid property, easy gardening access, and more. For questions and to order, visit watersupplytanks.com and use coupon code GARDENING10 to save 10% off your order. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy you've tuned in today. Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Jaret Daniels is a curator at the Florida Museum of Natural History's McGuire Center for Lepidoptera and Biodiversity and professor at the Department of Entomology and Nematology at the University of Florida. He is the author of many books, including a number of regional field guides for native plant gardening for birds, bees, and butterflies. Welcome to the program, Jaret.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, we thank you for taking time out of your day to not only educate Holly and myself, but all of our listeners.
It's my pleasure.
Excellent. So for those who may not know, what is an entomologist, and more specifically, Lepidoptera, and can you explain the work you do?
Sure. So an entomologist is a person who studies insects, and I am an entomologist, but more specifically, I work on Lepidoptera, which are butterflies and moths. And much of my work deals with insect conservation. So my lab works on some of the rarest of the rare at-risk butterfly species in North America. And we also do a lot of work with native insect pollinators, particularly trying to understand more about their biology, kind of developing best practices for management, and ultimately developing resources and increase science so we understand how to ensure that these really valuable organisms remain on this planet for generations to come.
In that study, has there been have you had the aha moments where wouldn't have expected that, really learned something there today? I'm sure you've had a lot of those.
Yeah, most definitely. That's the wonderful thing about working with insects is, they're so abundant and diverse, and they're actually, for a lot of species, they're very understudied. So for many of the really rare organisms we work with, I mean, literally every time you're with them in the field or you are working on them in the lab, you're finding out something new that nobody else has seen or worked out about them. So you kind of have those aha moments, a lot, and that's what really kind of drives me, because that's the fun part of science. That's why I became an entomologist and a researcher, is to find new things out, and working with insects makes it really easy.
Well, as we just have closed out the month of May, many people participated in No Mow May. First of all, for people who are not familiar with that, what is it? And two, even though May's over, can we still leave part of the lawn native and not mow it, or are there some harmful negativities towards doing that?
Yeah, so No Mow May was a campaign that was actually started in the United Kingdom, and it's a really simple, easy movement that really encourages people early in the year to reduce or eliminate mowing. And across the U.S., lawns make up about 2% of the entire land area, so it's a lot of area that's just lawn, which has very limited value for wildlife. And so the idea behind No Mow May is just let your lawn grow up, let the weeds and other kind of natural wildflowers that would occur in your lawn, let them come up and bloom and provide resources for a lot of the early season pollinators at a time when there aren't a lot of resources across the landscape. So it's just an opportunity to do a really simple, easy thing to benefit pollinators. And in reality, it benefits all of us, because it's a lot of energy to go out and mow your lawn. You're using fuel for your mower, most likely, releasing carbon. So it's just a simple, easy thing to get done, and you'll be amazed at what insects you will see. And there's actually been a lot of research that even really simple things like reducing mowing have very significant effects on increasing the abundance and diversity of insects and pollinators, particularly in urban and suburban landscapes. So it's a really wonderful thing just to do, and it's something you can do any time of the year. It's just early season as an opportunity to get kind of people starting in the growing season to start off a little bit more slowly, and kind of ease into the general landscape maintenance. But really, anytime you can reduce the mowing just a little bit, you're going to see some benefit by having those other sort of blooming plants appear in your landscape.
Well, and we see this, and you've probably seen this in an urban setting. If Jim down the street's mowing, I got to mow too, because it's kind of a chain reaction. Everybody does it, whether it needs it or not.
Exactly, and if you drive along roadways too, you see the areas that are not mown for a little while, and the diversity of wonderful wildflowers and other plants that occur in those spaces, and those are increasingly important for maintaining insect biodiversity in increasingly developed areas like urban and suburban landscapes. So it's really important. Little steps can make really profound differences.
Fantastic. So you have a number of guides, books, etc., including 5 regional field guides for native plant gardening for birds, bees, and butterflies, and one just came out. Why don't you talk about these guides and why our listeners should pick one up for their area?
Sure. So this is, as you mentioned, it's a series. So I have 5. The one that comes out in May is for the lower Midwest. And I also have a quick guide to caterpillars of North America, which highlights about 90 different common species across the U.S. and southern Canada. And these guides were really a lot of fun to put together. And for me as an entomologist, you can publish a scientific paper and have pretty limited effect on that, with only a small number of researchers reading it. But trying to get something out to the broader public is really a way of moving the needle, and we need resources to just understand that simple changes in our landscape of diversifying our landscape, including more native plants, can really have significant benefits for not only sustaining wildlife and pollinators included, but really connecting people to nature and allowing them an opportunity to explore their own landscape and really see the fascinating and remarkable organisms that visit their yards and neighborhoods all the time. And so these guides are just kind of a simple tool to cover common available native plants and maybe some that are not quite as common, and some simple kind of tricks of the trade just to get people started. So they're kind of that primer that gives them all the resources they need. They can use it as a guide for planting their yard. They can take it to a nursery. It's just introducing them to hopefully a whole new world of landscaping and gardening.
Well, you use the word native plants. Now, if people can't grow a garden or grow native plants, what are some ways in which they can help the sustainability and conservation of pollinators if they can't do the garden thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I will say first and foremost that you don't need a large space to garden. So even a patio with a few container plantings can have an impact. This does not need to encompass acres of land. So small changes, small little contributions like that put resources back and available to pollinators can be really important. If you don't have even that opportunity, then I would suggest becoming more involved with your community, looking at other areas to contribute in urban green space. I'm sure there are probably community gardens, other planting projects in and around your area, restoration projects at local parks, and other locations within and around where you live. Even just simply reducing the outdoor lighting around your apartment or your home can have profound effects on nocturnal insects. So, it doesn't need to be big and expansive, but it's sort of the collective small changes that we all make that can have really significant benefits. And probably the best thing people can do is just get interested, go outside, explore natural areas around where you live, start learning about these wonderful organisms, connect your family and friends to the great outdoors. That's how we all learned about these wonderful insects and birds and wildflowers, and that just opens a whole new world of discovery to people.
Fantastic. So we often hear about the pollinators not doing well, the decline. In all of your research, do you find things are optimistic, or how are things looking?
Well, certainly there is some doom and gloom out there, but I'm a perpetual optimist, and I wouldn't be in the field of insect conservation if I thought otherwise. And I think there's a lot of evidence to bring to bear on that. I mean, we talked about no mow May. There's a lot of evidence in the scientific literature that those small changes, have pretty profound effects, and it doesn't take a lot to make impact. And certainly we've seen from the research that my lab has done, even with some of the rarest of the rare, that we can move the needle. We can bring species back from the brink. We can, do restoration projects and kind of restore these natural systems. We can learn more critical information about individual species that enable us more kind of planning and strategic power to help them. And ultimately, we can kind of get more people interested in doing that in and around where they live. And I think, it is, conservation is not an individual activity. It's a collective. And so the more people we can get interested and to know about these insects, to discover them and understand even simple ways that they can contribute, that will all have significant downstream impact. And, we know that natural land is disappearing, but there's also really good evidence that urban spaces, urban green space, and landscapes in and around where we live, our backyards, if we connect those spaces, it can maintain a lot of diversity. So certainly there's a lot of negativity, but there's a lot of reason for hope as well.
Well, and if you surveyed 100 people, most of them would say a pollinator is a bee, but there's all different types of insects and birds that help pollinate as well. So it's not just the bees are having issues, but other insects that pollinate also are having issues as well.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, so insects pollinating insects encompass everything from butterflies, flies, beetles, moths, in addition to bees. So, and that list continues as well. So there's a lot of wonderful insects. And then you mentioned birds, certainly within the U.S., there are hummingbirds that visit flowers and move pollen from one blossom to another. So I think the important thing to think about is that even a pollinator garden in your home landscape, it's really a wildlife garden. It's attracting well more than just insects. It's sustaining birds. It's providing food for other organisms. It's just creating a diverse, healthy environment that can encourage resources for wildlife. And probably most importantly, it's doing you a lot of good as well. It gets you outside, it increases your activity, connects you and your family to nature, probably reduces your costs if you're mowing less, if you're watering less. This hits you in your wallet. You're saving money in the process. So there are many benefits to starting a wildlife or pollinator garden, definitely.
Well, we really appreciate having you on the program. How can people find out more about you and your great information in your books and guides?
All my books are available on large retailers like Amazon and Adventure Keen, which is my publisher. And then if they are interested in following the work that I do or my lab does, they can go to the Florida Museum online. It's the floridamuseum.ufl.edu/Daniels-lab, and they can see all the projects and some of the resources that we've created and the work that we do on butterflies and other pollinating insects.
Well, Jared, thank you so much for the time you've offered us and the education you provided us, and continue the positive work on helping pollinators be as good as they can be.
Oh, thank you for having me tonight.
Absolutely. And when we come back, it's Your Garden Questions, Our Garden Answers. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Deer Defeat is an all-natural based animal repellent to keep deer and rabbits away from your valuable plants that is odorless after 30 minutes and dries clear. It creates a continuous, invisible shield to protect your plants. Works for 30 days through rain, snow, and freeze. Will not clog your sprayer. Apply to your property without environmental damage. You can spray directly onto your plants up to flowering, then apply around your plants to continue protection. No need to reapply. Money back guarantee. To purchase, go to deerdefeat.com and use coupon code RADIO to save 10% off your order. Protect your plants from damage with the 3-in-1 Plant Guard and Special Blend Fertilizer. Visit ivorganics.com, use promo code RADIO10 to save 10% off your order. Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online.
Rootmaker starts your plants off right and keeps them going through harvest. From their seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots to their large variety of grow bags, 1 to 60 gallons. Their products will provide you the harvest you've never seen before. Visit rootmaker.com. Use coupon code ROOT24 to save 15% off your order at rootmaker.com. That coupon code is ROOT24 to save 15% off your order at rootmaker.com. Watering is the key to a healthy garden, but it can take up a lot of your time. Water less with Soil Moist. Grow beautiful plants with less water. Soil Moist polymers reduce your plant's watering by 50%, reduce transplant shock and soil compaction, and are effective in your soil for 3 to 5 years. It is an effective watering management aid that is ideal for internal and external plantings, such as trees, shrubs, containers, baskets, flower beds, vegetables, and turf. Soil Moist acts as a form of insurance for your plants and is environmentally friendly. It is easy to apply at the time of planting or transplanting. Spend more time doing what you enjoy and let Soil Moist work smarter for you. Bolster your plant's nutrient and water uptake with Soil Moist. Enhance microbial and plant growth. No need to spend extra time worrying about watering your plants. Easy to follow instructions right on the label. To find where to purchase and to see all their products, contact your local garden center or visit soilmoist.com.
Garden like a pro in 3 easy steps and receive customized fertilizer recommendations for your garden or lawn. Soil Savvy helps you determine what nutrients your plants need to thrive. Never again over-apply nutrients they don't need. A patented process that makes you a smart gardener. To get your soil test kit, go to mysoilsavvy.com.
If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts. Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com. Welcome back to the Garden with Joe and Holly radio show. Happy that you've allowed us to be part of your day. If you got a question, we got an answer. You can certainly send that on over. It's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. You can also give us a call 24/7, 365 at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. If you can't get through, you can leave a message and we will call you back. Had a couple of questions come in via the hotline at 1-800-927-SHOW. We'll first go to Milwaukee. She is, I don't remember her name. She's going to, Elaine, she's listening to us on Joy, 1340 AM and 98.7 FM.
Hi, this is Elaine calling Greenfield, Wisconsin. Can you tell me about lilac bushes? Ours didn't do well this year, and I was just wondering what it was due to the weather, or as far as pruning them goes, when we should prune them.
All right. Thank you for listening to the program. Lilac bushes, when do we prune them, and why did hers not do very good? Well, she didn't do it. This is a kind of a, your mileage may vary type of situation, but if you don't prune them properly or at the right time, it can significantly inhibit some of the production that plant could offer.
Right. You want to prune them regularly. So you would want to, you don't have to necessarily prune them every year, but you can tell when they need to be pruned because they don't do well.
And certain varieties.
So you would have to figure out what variety you have, find a pruning schedule. But what happens is that if you don't prune them, then they don't have the incentive to keep growing, to keep blooming, as opposed to when you are pruning them regularly, it encourages that growth.
I know that your mom has a decent size lilac bush as well as your sister does in her backyard, and I don't know how much pruning that they offer those plants, but they are the size of small vehicles.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Let's go to Ilona listening to us on Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM out of Southeast Michigan.
This is Ilona from Highland, Michigan, listening on Wham 1600. My question is, I have several boxwood. That's it. I have several boxwood. They're all doing great, but this year a couple of them have brown leaves. I tried looking it up. It said maybe lack of drainage. I'm not sure. The other ones look beautiful green, so I don't know. What do you suggest? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Ilona from Highland, Michigan, a longtime listener and supporter of the program. We thank you so much for that, and we can help you with your question.
So it is drainage for the most part. So what happens is that with the varying weather, it can cause the trees to get a little bit sensitive, especially during the hotter parts of the year. So the drainage is a problem, and you might have some issues under the soil that you're not aware of because of how long they've been there, or just as the earth kind of shifts around and things like that. So drainage is a problem. So you might have to dig in there, see what the drainage situation is, see if there's any sort of root impaction, compaction, etc., and that would be helpful.
Yeah, that based on the size of the plant, it's going to dictate how much excavation that you may provide for that plant in order to figure out why that one is not doing as well as the other ones, and could be something just the way water is being held around or near that root system, whether something new was put there or just the way the water is now flowing in a different form and fashion around that plant could have significant impacts as she was describing. All right, let's see what we can get through here question-wise. I have a wonderful plum tree that has brown rot. Do you suggest removing it? I have sprayed the last 3 years and it still gets the brown rot. Can I replace it with a plum tree or peach tree, or would it be in the soil if I put it in the same spot?
Yeah, so brown rot on your plum tree, there is no cure for the problem. There are many ways to control it by cutting back the branches that are showing the issue and throwing away plums, not composting. You don't want to compost them. You don't want to put that disease into the compost. You want to throw them away. And brown rot fungi over winter, it's a shriveled fruit, infected twigs and branches. The primary source of spores is in the spring, and if you find the shriveled fruit on the ground. So anything you want to do is just make sure that once you clean up the shriveled fruit or the bad branches, you want to toss them. You don't want to burn them. No composting, anything like that. Even the city compost, don't put that in there because that can increase the spread.
If this still becomes a persistent problem, as you've indicated for the last 3 years, you've been fighting this, it might be one of these situations where it's time to replace the tree and save the time, effort, energy, and finances in trying to prolong this incurable problem by replacing it with a peach tree or an apple tree or a more disease-resistant tree of a different type of fruit to make your life more enjoyable rather than having this problem that you're consistently battling. And then based on what type of tree you need to, if you go to your local garden center, they will have the trees that are adequate for your growing zone. If not, if you're going to order them online, as I spoke about previously on the program, if you're in growing zone 4, for example, you want to get a tree that is adequate for growing zone 3. So when you have those anomalies in the winter of one year being much colder than others, that tree still has a chance of survival, and it's not on that borderline of it's a growing zone 4, it's a growing zone 4 tree, so we really can't have anything colder than that because that tree may not survive. I believe it was last week's show that your guest spoke about some natural products that to spray on to control bad insects. I think it was called BT or something like that. I think it was a bacteria that goes inside of the bug and grows in its gut. Is there somewhere that I can find more information about the product and what it does and where to purchase? That was John Libbs
from Phylum Bioproducts.
Phylum Bioproducts. It's P-H-Y-L-L-O-M, bioproducts.com. And Grubgone is the product in which he was speaking about, an all-natural product that will eliminate the borers and beetles, the Japanese beetles you have flying around. So Beetle Gone is the website, and Phylum Bioproducts is the company site in which gives you all the information. And you can give them a call. The number is on the website, and John or Jim will pick up. They're brothers, and they are owners of the company. Should I remove the suckers from my tomato plant?
This is a fist fight debate.
First of all, what is a sucker on a tomato plant for those who are not familiar with that verbiage?
So a sucker is so when you have the main branch of the tomato plant, and then you have the other branch that kind of shoots out. It's like
in the armpit, the joint.
Yeah, the joint. There's something that grows there. Those are the suckers, and some people feel that if you cut the sucker off or prune it or whatever, that it's going to help the plant grow better, blah, blah, blah. Now, some people feel that you shouldn't do it. Some people feel you should. Some people feel that if you cut the sucker off, the other tomatoes will grow bigger and stronger and better. I don't think there's any scientific proof behind any of that, but it's up to you. If you have time to trim all of the suckers, go for it. If you are, in your backyard and you observe everything going on and you have all the time in the world, do it. If it's very important to you, do it, whatever. If you don't, you don't. If you want to just let plants grow naturally and do their thing, survival of the fittest, you're still going to get the same amount of tomatoes, do that. So it's up to you.
And you may get more because if you allow that sucker, what we identify as a sucker, to continue to grow, it will turn into an additional limb and it will produce another flower or flower clusters, which will produce more tomatoes. Based on the type of tomato plant you have, cherry versus beefsteak, it can take 20 to 30 days from the time the flower is exposed to the time in which you're harvesting a ripe or near ripe piece of fruit. So keep that in mind as well. We have allowed ours to grow. We've never pruned tomatoes, and we have seen those suckers create very large and productive flower clusters in which, if we was to remove, we would have decreased the yield that tomato plant would have offered us.
Right. So that's suckers.
We come to the portion of the program today where we discuss what we learned today. And what I learned today was that our 10-year-old nephew, your sister's son, is a very worrisome gardener with his tomato and watermelon plant. And I guess we were all like that at one point or the other, where we worried about, are we watering enough? Did we feed it enough? Is it going to produce this, that, and other? And he'll come to a point where he will realize, it's going to grow. It's not going to grow. That's why I put 7 in the ground instead of 1, so I have some backups.
We're going to help him along the way. I learned that Lepidoptera is like butterflies and stuff.
Fancy word for butterflies. What we learned today is brought to you by Honey Bee Healthy.
Whether you're a gardener, a bee hobbyist, or a professional beekeeper, Honey Bee Healthy Inc. has the products to help you maintain a healthy hive and thriving garden. For more information on how to use Honey Bee Healthy in your garden, visit honeybeehealthy.com. Tune in the program next week where we'll be discussing keeping your garden plants cool in the heat, as well as yourself, and the best plants that love the heat, what you should grow that will do well. Our guest is YouTuber and urban gardener from the Pacific Northwest, Enoch Graham, will be with us. So until next week, for Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.